President is with us. I request Mr. Muhammad Habibur Rahman to Director Administration of ABEO to deliver some speech on the seminar, as well as introduce Marisa and address something.
Thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I recognized our distinguished guests and the speakers, and as well as the Marisa. She is the elect president of the ABEO, the PEO. Okay. So I also mentioned here that we are expecting the IAB president to be here. Unfortunately, he could not manage the visa, so sorry for that. And plus, our main objective of our main mission about ABEO is very simple: to help our member in terms of professional development, etc. So our objective is to create a seminar guiding them to achieve the professional engineering. Plus, we organizing seminar to guide them, and also that we do some sort of our ABEO's member families together, and so that's it. And plus, and in terms of that, this seminar was mainly designed to keep something to the young group actually. So that's, if you look at that from very beginning, it started with that how the career developed, and this is the second speaker talking the entrepreneurship. So that's all are based on that. So, and then the next there will be some more. So. And we have a plan to do a multiple this type of seminar in every year. To do so, I think everybody got a one feedback form in your package. We will encourage you to give your feedback so that we can design our next seminar according to your needs and I think that we already know about our sponsor, and I thank him for his support. And now I would like to introduce the special guest speaker, Marisa Sterling, elect president of PEO. In brief, she is various award-winning distinguished engineer academic, and she is also volunteering in public and private sector in engineering field. She is most popular in the engineering society based on her contribution and helping the engineering development of the professional engineering. And ladies and gentlemen, here is the Marisa Sterling. Give the floor.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for having me as your guest today. It's a real pleasure always to see everybody every year. I think this is my third opportunity, my third year to be with you. So with that, I actually would love to wear my hat. So I'm going to put this on. So I hope that looks okay. So let's keep that on. So my special thanks definitely to Habibur, as well as to Rezar and Yusuf for your kind invitation, and also the friendly faces around the room that I've seen before and the ones I'm meeting today. Welcome, and it's lovely to meet you. I want to really congratulate ABEO because we can't do anything by ourselves in life, right? It's really important that we find community to do things together. And so what I love about this organization is that you're putting together a community to help each other, and where you can find common ground, which is in the area of engineering, which is great. And I see there's some families and little ones here as well. So it's lovely that we have this community. how much time would you like me here? Just let me know. So what is the time? Just to give me a heads up.
Take as
much as I like. Okay, great. I actually have a speech, but let's just reflect on this. We're coming together as people who are engineers. How many are engineers in the room, by the way? Okay. People that have engineering degrees. Yeah. People that are they seeking to become professional engineers in Ontario? Yeah. Okay. And we have the allies and the supporters, the people that are supporting those that are trying to get their licensing, right? Okay, so that's wonderful. So a good mix here today. And, I have an amazing sense of pride in engineers and engineering students and graduates and those that choose to get into this area. Maybe someone could just sort of yell out, like, why is it that engineering was your calling? We heard some examples, how people have come into engineering, but what's one example, what's one reason why you've decided that engineering was an interest for you? Would you like to volunteer?
Well, my father's an engineer, so why should I can give this answer.
Yes.
Because I'm his parent.
Yes.
I've been working in 25 years in IT professions.
Right.
But as an engineer, I did my graduation from California State University, but I never did the actual engineers as a PE, what they did. But some of the signature what I do for IT security stuff, it needs a PA.
Right.
So I don't have that authority. So I need somebody somebody sign for me. He has to recognize me, I'm doing the right thing, but I cannot sign it.
Got it.
So it's very important for me to execute myself and authenticated persons to sign and taking the responsibility. This is correctly done.
Right.
So that's very important for me.
Right, and that's really great. So what, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was shorter than med school and law school, and you just needed to use one degree.
It was shorter than med school and law school?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, very well. So very practical. Nothing wrong with that. I chose engineering because I was naturally inclined to math and science in high school, and I thought that science was too general, engineering was more specific. It had a professional designation, and I thought it'd be more competitive in the workplace. That's kind of how I started into engineering. But as I have developed more of an understanding of what this is all about, and maybe this is part of how we've come into it or we have come to know engineering, is we have an amazing opportunity in the world to have an impact on the well-being of society. And you can do that in other areas as well. Like, we're not the only one, but we have this amazing ability. And I think this is the thing that excites me the most about the field of engineering. And it goes beyond the sciences, as you were saying, because it touches on this sort of ethical accountability, which isn't meant to feel like a burden, is meant to feel like an amazing opportunity. And in our societies and in our networks here, I mean, you can just tell by the volunteers that are involved with ABEO, why are we volunteering? So we're volunteering because we want to elevate society in some way. And we found the area that we want to elevate, and so in the context of ABEO, we want to advance professional development, advance people's careers, and give them also a social support, and probably many other things. So it's that inner desire to kind of go a step further. And that's the really exciting thing for me about what engineering offers into the world. And it's something that I came in to learn. I didn't know that from the get-go at all. And if you look at my volunteering trajectory in my career, when I went to university, I would run a fundraiser for the Daily Bread Food Bank, or a few things here and there to kind of just help out in that network of the school. But I hadn't really thought much bigger than that, and I didn't actually think I had any. What was my role? Like, I didn't think I had a role, or how could I even have an impact on society? Like, it just was something I couldn't understand that I could do. But then over time, I started to just be intrigued by different types of groups that came together and then I joined a Toastmasters club, for example. And then I learned that in a Toastmasters club, I could improve my own public speaking, but I could also take a leadership role as a president of a club and help open a club in another area, or I could help people in the club advance their speaking opportunities, for example. And so it's like, okay, well, if I could do that, then kind of, what else could I do? And another thing I ended up doing is I joined a charity, and the charity raises funds to give to engineering students when they're in their undergraduate to help them with their degree and their tuition, and across all of Ontario. So it's called the Ontario Professional Engineers Foundation for Education, or Engineers Foundation, and the PNGs in the room, when you pay your annual fee, you have a little checkbox and you can make a donation. And I realized that 85,000 engineers across Ontario were checking this box, giving $50 here and there, and creating a fund of a few $1 million to help engineering students. And I thought, well, that's great. I wonder if I could add to that in some way. And then so I volunteered, I became the president, and I thought about how do we take that further. So for example, I thought, how do we help with leadership of students? So how can we advance their leadership? How can we advance their networking? How can we connect them to companies to help them with their job search? How can we also make sure we have diversity and equity within engineering students? And so how can we make sure that we're celebrating that in the people that are getting these awards? So those are just a few things. So the reason for telling you these few examples is I just wanted to share personally that I think I kind of fell into the fact that I have a desire to enhance social well-being, and that in fact engineering is a toolkit for that. But I didn't really understand that, I think, when I was actually studying engineering. And so if we want to think about that toolkit today, we can think about significant world issues and where we have amazing talent to be able to impact on that well-being of society. And it doesn't have to be something that feels too big for us to touch, because we feel it here ourselves. So for example, any of us on social media? Okay? And any people in our family that's on social media? Okay? And who checks to see how many people like what they post? Of course. I mean, it's why wouldn't we want to know if people like us, right? Who doesn't want to know if anyone likes us? So on social media, you have a chance when you share your information, like when you email someone, you don't know if they like what you said unless they email you back. But on social media, you get a little check mark, a little nice happy face, something that says, hey, I like, a little heart, I like what you did. And that's really lovely, that feedback. But when we think about well-being, we've actually learned that this feedback, which is done with technical knowledge, right, to be able to create these like buttons, actually has caused more social anxiety and more mental health issues for teenagers. Because what's happened is they want to assess who they are based on these likes. And so your kids and your friends' kids, you may not be aware, but if they've grown up in the last 5-10 years in an environment that they're reflecting on their own self-worth based on if people like what they put on social media. And so we as engineers technically know how to do that. We wanted to create communities, we developed this kind of technology, but then from a well-being perspective, it backfired a little bit. And it's very interesting because Instagram, for example, anyone on Instagram? A few? Okay. So Instagram has been running a test, and Canada was the country that they chose to run it in, to say that we're not going to count your likes anymore. So you can't see if you have 100 likes or 5 likes or 50 likes. It's not going to be a number anymore. And they're testing it because they're realizing from a well-being perspective that the use of technology didn't actually support well-being in society, even though it was a great, cool idea. And so that's where this power of our knowledge to make the world better is tricky. Anyone drink coffee?
Everyone.
No, I'm surprised. I would have thought everybody. I think I'm the only one that doesn't drink coffee in the room, but if you drink coffee, there's this thing called a Keurig. You've heard of the Keurig? And these are these little pods. I think, well, everyone has them now, but the little pods, the one-use coffees. And the first one-use coffee capsule was developed under the company Keurig. And the inventor today, well, he maybe not much today, but after he invented it, he was very remorseful that he did. And why he was remorseful is that he realized, I'm going to use my great knowledge, technical knowledge, to create a system to make your coffee experience in the morning much more efficient. So we're going to slice out a few minutes of the day because we're going to have a one-use instant process for you to make your coffee, and you can have different types in your family. You don't have to make a big pot and so forth, right? So a great convenience. But by doing that, all kinds of environmental things came up. So now you had this capsule that was being, you had a huge number of these capsules out in society. They weren't recyclable. They were going to landfills, and it was increasing the garbage that we were creating. And so that particular inventor thought, wait a minute, I didn't think it through. And even though I have this great knowledge and technical ability, and I invented something wonderful, did I actually enhance the well-being of society by slicing a few minutes or so off of your morning coffee experience, or giving you some variety of coffee, but at the same time, I'm now putting a weight of additional garbage and environmental impact on my kids, the next generation, and even the current generation. Now, the exciting thing from that is engineers, we solve problems. So we love problems. So when an inventor creates a new problem, we then say, well, let's go and solve it. And so today, in fact, those are all recyclable. So now those capsules have been redesigned so that you used to have to kind of break it apart, and the foil had to put it in one place and so forth. Now the whole thing, I believe, is recyclable, which was great, but it also was showing that maybe that impact of society hadn't been fully thought through. So I give you a few of those examples because I think this is a lovely aspect of